the player is currently training apart from the group. Jadon Sancho will remain on a personal training programme away from the first-team group pending resolution of a squad discipline issue. Apparently, he has been asked to apologise to the manager. He refused.
I've not that feeling. Kenny Dalglish once said to me, "You'll be training with the kids if you don't get this move to Derby." I said, "I love training with the kids, Kenny. Fantastic, I love it." Burley. So it's never it's always a difficult scenario, but this just seems to be, oh my God, Man United. It's just one thing after another at the moment, isn't it? You know, and it's been pretty poor on the pitch. It's been absolutely horrendous off the pitch. And this is just another scenario, you know, training on his own. Who the hell knows what's going on? Ten Hag's, it seems, trying to rule with an iron fist. We've spoken about the Ronaldo situation and how it seemed he handled that pretty well at the time. But then all this mud that's been thrown his way when he's trying to sort of rebuild this squad and be back in the top four and compete is a really, really difficult job at the moment.
So just interesting that you said that. Looking back at it now with hindsight and with obviously more maturity, Jadon Sancho is only a young guy. Is this something where he should be swallowing his pride, or do you understand that he is being firm and not wanting to apologise here for his part in this?
Well, in my experience, there is only one winner in the end. Now, Jadon Sancho is not, you know, a prime-time Ronaldo or Messi in their prime, of which then you have a major problem. He's a big money signing who's not performed, right? And it seems to me that the manager is not going to back down here. And at this moment in time, the manager has the backing of the board and of the ownership. And so there only is going to be one winner unless he wants to sit out and continue to see his career dwindle away. So sometimes, and I know this might be strange coming from me, sometimes, and I've had to do it, you might need to eat a little bit of humble pie, particularly with the other problems that United have at the moment in his position. They have other issues in his position where they haven't got the availability of certain players. Greenwood's gone, Antony's suspended. There is an opportunity here, if he can swallow his pride, potentially, to get back on the field. Now, that's now up to him whether he wants to do that or not.
Situation, of course, it's continuing with Manchester United. And as you can hear, Craig, somebody who has some experience in this, he's talking about, he was also threatened by Kenny Dalglish, and he said he would love to play with under 23. So the scenario of the situation, to those people who are just getting caught up, but I think everyone knows it's public news, this is Manchester United. Apparently, Jadon Sancho is refusing to apologize to Erik ten Hag over the incident of what he did, calling him out on social media and telling the world that he is a liar about what he was talking about. That's exactly what the thing was talking about. But the problem that we're dealing with here in this case is this. Erik ten Hag is somebody who wants to win with iron fist. He is that manager, that hardcore, like military core type of a manager who wants everyone that his way is the law. If he says that do this, you do this. So what's happening in this case is this. Erik ten Hag is asking for Sancho to give him the respect, but Sancho is refusing because, you know, he's a young kid, 23 years old. He has some bit of an ego. He's trying by all means to show this. So he's being asked, that's what Keith is asking here. Don't you think it's actually wise enough for Erik ten Hag to just, you know, swallow the pride and just say that, okay, he's a young kid, he's still growing up, and just try to move on with this? It looks like he doesn't want to do so, and as things stand, like what Craig just said, it looks like the board are backing him, and if he's being backed by the board, there's only one winner, and the one winner that will come out in this situation is, guess what, the owners and the manager. Because if the board is backing the manager, you will have to decide what you want to do with your career. If United are just going to allow you to sit down, you will sit down making so much money like Gareth Bale, but you're still a young player, still have so much to achieve. Are you going to destroy your career over this? Those are the questions that are being asked. But as things stand right now, Sancho has to just apologize, you know, just allow it, even though we know that he is also being wronged. He was called out first. He did not call the manager first. We know he's being wronged out, but he has to apologize. Like Shaka was asking, who's speaking in his eye, is in his mind, like in his brain, who is advising him? Because if that person is not advising him for the goodness of his career, man, we are in trouble. I'm telling you.
Who's in his ear? Because you wonder if he's getting the right advice in a situation like this, Shaka.
That's a question I think you can ask of so many of today's players, not just at Manchester United. Now, first of all, a player training with the kids, it's not the first time we've heard of that, and it sure as hell won't be the last. It's not that uncommon. But given everything that's going on in Manchester United, everything just seems to take on more significance. And given the fact that Jadon Sancho posted that tweet or whatever it was on social media, and it stayed up for as long as it did, and then it came down, and then Manchester United's statement suggests to me that those discussions have happened. Jadon Sancho kind of realizes now who's, as Craig says, there's only ever going to be one winner. I think that culture about Manchester United was established way back in the Sir Alex Ferguson days. You don't come up against the manager in this vein and expect to win. He won't. So now he has to pay his penance, so to speak, and the club have to continue to move in the direction that they want. It's just so many of these things are just adding to a snowball effect about Manchester United. Not looking good, picking up wins, particularly at Old Trafford, but not looking good in doing that. And then all these little issues, including the sale of the club or non-sale of the club, as the case may be, just gives all these issues so much more significance and make Ten Hag's job all the more ominous.
Talking about the player himself, though, as well, Jan, it's something we've heard Edin Terzic say before as well, that he is the type of player who does need that support of the coach and the arm around him.
We all do. We all players do that. But I think I agree with the boys, of course, good analysis of the situation there. But I just want to put in a couple of other perspectives. I think that, first of all, we don't know all about the situation. It's hard to judge based on some tweets and United coming out with a statement. I think that when we'll know the whole story in the future, there could be more to it. Remember, last season when Sancho had his problem there, how did the club manage that? How did they run that kind of things? There is also a thing that at Manchester United now, it's a club in a crisis. I mean, just we're talking about Anthony Greenwood, all those kind of things. So the biggest job Ten Hag will have at the moment is to have a consistency in his management. How does he manage the players? And when I saw a report saying that Sancho felt that there was an inconsistency in those kind of things. But the thing is, for Manchester United fans at the moment, they only have to say in Ten Hag we trust. Because there are so many big money spending. Talking about Anthony and Maguire is another story. Sancho, of course. So many players who haven't succeeded at Manchester United. At this time, I would just say in a bit tabloid way, Manchester United is a place where the talents go to die. I mean, and not only do they go there to die, if they're going to do something with their squad, they can't sell a player, can they? Have a look at their in and out. They can't sell players. Look at other clubs. They get players in Manchester City is selling Palmer for XY millions of pounds. Manchester United can't do anything at the moment. And of course, this Jadon Sancho situation doesn't help. And of course, we all know that as former players, the last one is the coach. And that Sancho has to swallow anyway.
There is a lot of things that is happening here. What happens at the end of the day? They just have to be somebody who's going to win. And like what Shaka was really trying to explain here, talking about how the tweet came out, how long it took and lasted on that social media until it was deleted. It means there were conversations, and in Sancho's side, he was able to see that in this case, whatever that I'm going to do, I'm never going to be the winner. So it means there was some self-reflection on the player. He understood that he wanted also to fight back for his rights and say something, but he can see that at the end of the day, there's no winning in this one. And as you can see, the boards are backing you. It's Erik ten Hag and everything's going this way. So I feel like the last thing that is left, if he's feeling like I've done already so many things, I've removed the tweet, I've done this thing, I've talked to the managers, it seems like this, but now you're asking me to apologize on top of that. He just have to swallow this pride, because at the end of the day, nobody's winning in this case. And as we can see now, as you look at how the whole entire outlook of everything is like. We are now trying to include the Mason Mount situation. We are talking about the Anthony cases. We are talking about Mason Greenwood issues. We are also talking about the Harry Maguire. We are also talking about so much. That just tells you how much and how craziness is happening with Manchester United, which is leading things into nothing but chaos. So you cannot really come in and try to discuss and say that there will be another way in terms of dealing with this case, because we don't really know where exactly this is gonna go. We don't know how far this will contribute in the long run, because at this moment Erik ten Hag is one man who's carrying so much weight on his back, and he doesn't need this chaoticness of this actually happening, and he has to actually be a fatherly as well, try to use his brain and try to release this weight off his pressure, because he's the one who's putting some of the pressures on himself. Of course, 90% the Anthony part, the Greenwood situation, the Maguire, he might have played a part, but in most of them he's not the one who did it. But the Maguire situation, he played a part, he made it public, he called all these things. The Anthony, he's the one who called him first. So there is just so much happening with Manchester United. Now you look at it in the long run and say that as a club there are so many things that are happening with Manchester United. They get players who are very good when they come. Harry Maguire was good at Leicester. Sancho at Dortmund was unplayable. All the players who have come, Anthony at Ajax was a good player, but now he's in Manchester United. We don't even know his identity. Mason Mount, of course, he was wibbling, doing ups and downs, but now look at him in Manchester United. Christian Eriksen, when they took him, and Casemiro, we know what he was doing on the Real Madrid, but now so many people are critiquing him. So what now we are being hearing from Young, he's now telling the truth that it looks like Manchester United are actually the place where players are coming to die, because they're destroying talent, they're destroying so many players who are coming with this. It might be what's happening here. The player power thing has to come to an end. It has to move back to the manager, and as things stands right now, it looks like Erik ten Hag is trying to do that, but the way he's doing it is allowing also his ego to shadow so many things. So there is chaos, there is literally chaos when it comes to Manchester United, and I don't know how far this will go, and it's really, really irritating that we still keep talking about Manchester United.
Just one caveat on the player. He's getting big money. He could sit tight. That's his choice if he wants to do that. But from a player's perspective, what you have to understand is not only are you unlikely to win this battle, but other people are looking in from the outside. And if you do want to resurrect your career, if indeed United, as it seems, want to get him out, as well as others, which is not easy, as Jan pointed out, but if you want to resurrect your career, the more that you paint yourself in a poorer picture, the more difficult it is to find suitors, particularly when you're on the kind of money that he's on and maybe the kind of transfer fee that United would be looking for him. It puts other people off. So there is no real win here. It's a lose-lose for the player. Really, yeah, financially he'll be okay because they'll have to pay him as long as he stays within the wording of his contract and he trains and he turns up. But if other people are looking in at him taking some sort of stance against the manager continuously, whilst being out of form and whilst not having played well, who the hell's going to come in and rescue him? Because other people will be looking in and going, Ronaldo had it. Maybe it was his age and maybe it was his money, but it was also the problem that he was bringing to potential managers and clubs. And it was so bad that none of the elite teams in the end were looking to take Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, his management may say otherwise, but they were not. They were not. Here we have a young guy who is maybe pigeonholing himself in a corner here if he doesn't accept the inevitable that is the manager and the club will win in the end.
To that point, and you had started talking about it, as a disclaimer for us, there probably is a lot going on behind the scenes that we simply don't know about, which we've had to address with a couple of players already this season, or players speaking about their mental health and issues that they were dealing with. Whether that's a situation with Jadon Sancho or not, we don't know. We can only comment on what we see. We aren't privy to a lot of that information, nor should we be. Saying that, if this is another of those issues, and Jadon Sancho needs the support of the club in addressing whatever it is he may be going through, posting on social media isn't really going to, prod the club to support him in maybe the way that he is. So there is a very big picture that
That's very, very important what Craig is talking about. To the player now, let's come back. Let's throw Manchester United off the dust. To the player, the way Sancho is handling this situation. Remember, this kid is only 23 years old. So there's still a bigger and higher future ahead of him. Look at what happened with Cristiano Ronaldo. Look at after the craziness that went with Cristiano Ronaldo, the only place he could find football was in Qatar. We are talking about one man who have turned football upside down. That tells you that nobody was interested in him, because as much as he was good, nobody wanted the baggage. Same with Neymar. As much as he was good, nobody wanted the baggage. Here we have Sancho in our hands. He hasn't done so much, and the way he's portraying himself at this higher club, trust me, come when you count sometimes, nobody will want you. Nobody will want to get the player because they know that he's tarnished. He has so many chaotic things that is happening on him, and that will always cause the craziness that people are talking about. You will lose so much. And okay, he can sit down on the contract and eat the money that is eating, but look at him. What's gonna be the difference between him and some players who do not even come in and show their talent in the world football? He is a good talent, and he needs to learn to control himself, and he needs to learn to have the right people who advise him, because at the long run this might actually tarnish his career as a whole, and nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to look at that in that sense, because now we are hating the player. But that's the truth of the matter. Sometimes you need to swallow your pride as a player and try by all means to resurrect your career, and here we are. I don't know. We are just going to be watching from outside, and we'll be talking about it. But here's what Sancho is happening. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think Jadon Sancho has to do? And of course, we don't know as much as what really happened in the past, because what we only know is what the manager told us and what the player said. But it seems like there's much more into this. Maybe in years and years times it will be leaked out to the public and we will actually understand. But at this moment we know nothing. But here we are, Manchester United again. Part something. I have no idea how long we're going to continue doing this with the Manchester United players. Click the like button, subscribe to the Connect. I'm out. Peace.